Wholeness and welcome. This is Josh of Integrating Presence, Inner Skill too, and today is another Open Wisdom Wednesday. And this is where I hold Irregular Wisdom Office Hours. I ask unplanned, general, and specific questions for your wisdom, and you ask me. And in the meantime, we share openly, likely from whatever is currently happening, to get at our wisdom. So, what I'm calling this one is something like, um, I wouldn't just we'll forget the title here. I was reflecting on this morning about what to talk about, just some two general topics. And one is how we do our truth seeking journey for those of us who are into truth seeking. And then the other part I want to touch on is the most important precept, refraining from intoxicants. So I recently joined a group. Um, And we talked about the precepts, and I've never heard that one as the most important. So it was really intriguing to me. But before we start, let's just um, acknowledge where we're at, and let's take the 3 breath highway. Here I'm out. We've been having, we had almost like a whole week of beautiful weather here. Then it went from like 3 or 4 days maybe raining. So today, thought I'd get out here and see the seashore behind me, the sea behind me, and on a hill. So it's quite lovely to be out here after 2 or 3 or so days inside. So when you're ready, make the body upright and relaxed. If you're sitting or however it is, just notice any areas of tension that can be immediately released and invite them to do so. And let's just be present for 3 full inhalations and 3 full exhalations. Every moment of the inhale, every moment of the pause at the top of the inhale, every moment of the exhale, and the entire pause at the end of the exhale. We've got some crows joining today. So when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And the first part I want to talk about is how we do our truth-seeking journey. And for those of you seeking truth out there, I think this is really what it's all about. I mean, everything. Let's see, the truth is all there is. I've heard somebody put it, because everything else is just lies and deception. It's not real. It's not helpful. And without really knowing anything credible, it's hard to make decent choices in our lives. So after meditating, I was reflecting on this and how at the start of my journey, I was really into finding out things that are more truthful. And I was kind of shocked at, my naivety and gullibleness about what goes on in the world. And so when I started waking up to, like, a lot of the stuff that we've been told probably isn't exactly the way it happened or this. And I don't think really anyone's to blame. I think things get told and then they're just repeated. It doesn't really help to blame people, I don't think. So, but when we wake up to this, then it was shocking for me. It was shocking that the wool's been pulled over the eyes a lot, and it's kind of devastating. He said the truth is destroys the world you used to live in. So it's a very powerful thing. It can be used to help liberate, but it can also be used as a weapon. So you have to be very careful with how we do truth. And so I was reflecting in meditation that even though I was really motivated by seeking truth and finding out what's real. But internally, for a while, I've been doing Samatha practice, and this is basically just paying attention to the breath around this spot, and everything else, just drop it, come back to the breath. Right? This is kind of a more exclusive meditation practice that can lead to cultivating samadhi. and even possibly get into jhanas and stuff. Won't talk about that today, but um, and what I wasn't being true to my commitment to that, right? It seems that way because I would set the intention and kind of maybe a commitment. I don't know about that word, but that was the goal, that was the objective, but then I would kind of allow other shiny mind objects and things to come in and not really be true to myself. Like I wouldn't go and tell a friend, hey, I'm going to go do this for you, and this is what we're going to do, and then just say, oh, hey, nah, I can't do that. Sorry, dude. Sorry, can't follow through with that. So this is like keeping our word, being honest to ourselves, or shouldn't for me, okay, honest to myself. That when I set that intention and that goal, whenever there's a choice presented, sometimes things happen and we don't really um, seem to have much agency over what we pay attention to. But those times when we do in meditation, if I'm not really being honest and true to that objective that I set forth for myself in meditation, then the credibility I have with myself is lacking. So it's kind of a wake up call for me in a way that, although I wouldn't go out and treat other people like that, and if I stay true to my word externally, but how was I doing it internally? And yeah, so effort, the right kind of effort to do this is needed, and it's a training, and I can still be kind with myself while I'm going through this process and strengthening my kind of determination and resolve and commitment in being honest with myself and true to myself and my objectives. Of course, we've got to use discernment to determine those objectives, and then if they're not worthwhile or not helpful, then we need to have discernment to drop them. But this is a time-old, honored, very simple practice of cultivating longer attention and really kind of staying with something and then learning how the mind will stray from that objective and be brought back, and then how I am with myself. And so what this also opened up for me was this notion on the external that, yeah, I was in my truth seeking, there was some kind of bitterness, and I told myself on the surface I was kind of exposing truth, maybe exposing lies, calling out deception, but it really wasn't from the most helpful place. It was from a place, at least subtly, of, okay, I've been wrong. I've been a victim here. I've been told lies and told to believe things that probably weren't the most true and helpful. And so there was this kind of chip on my shoulder, or wanting to, prove myself, prove others wrong, and I didn't find this helpful. And then it's this like this greater kind of insight. Seems so obvious now, right? That there are people that are capitalizing on this with others. That people are getting angry and upset, and we talk about disclosure and things like this. One of the reasons, perhaps, maybe, is why some of the disclosure is not coming out is because those who are holding the secrets fear this kind of retaliation and being upset. So I will just make a brief call here for, when we wake up to things that, um, unpleasant truths and things, that how we go about it is really important. I don't feel that acting in any kind of way that is harmful to anyone is going to be helpful for anything when it comes to this. We need to check ourselves and how we behave and respond, and even on the deeper levels of this. And of course, our feelings are always valid. It's just, what do we do with those feelings? Do we act on them? Are they going to be helpful? Maybe sometimes they will. Maybe sometimes they'll help us act in a life-saving situation or to do something really helpful. But other times they could also potentially interfere with, you know, um, being skillful in the world, right? They could, if left unchecked, they could potentially lead to actions in words that aren't skillful. So how can we do this? How can we still, you know, go on our truth-seeking journey internally and externally, and still go about it in ways that are kind, done at the right time, beneficial, helpful, ways that aren't super harsh. And yeah, yeah. So if anybody has any thoughts or comments on this, let me know. And you guys can chime in with what wisdom you've been engaging in recently, or what wisdom you've cultivated recently, any questions you have, any challenges you have. Now, the other topic I wanted just to mention is this event that I attended, and can't really promote names here on Insight Timer, so that's not as important as what this was. So there's 5 Buddhist precepts, right? And these are training. They're not commandments. They're not like thou shalt not, or you're going to go to hell or whatever. This is a training process, just like meditation, or if you'd go to the gym, and therefore our own benefit and welfare and happiness and that of others, not because they're going to be imposed by an external entity for punishment and reward. So I'll just say like the keywords briefly, and then go back a little bit before I talk about the one I want to talk about. There's non-harm, there's honesty, there's not stealing, and sexual misconduct, not engaging in sexual misconduct, and then 5, refraining from intoxication. Intoxicants are sobriety, and so the non-harming, this is, I think, pretty straightforward, and I think that's seems to be where most ethics come out of, right? Non-harming, and we know when we're harmed, right? So there is a lot of variation, there's a lot of subtlety, and maybe some relativity here, but we know when we're harmed, and we know when others are harmed, or when they say they're harmed, if they're being truthful, which is the second one, being honest, right? Not deliberately telling a falsehood, not telling a lie. Yeah, it's wrong, it's not true, yet you say it anyway. So refraining from that kind of behavior. And then number 3, not taking what's freely offered. That's pretty straightforward, right? For the most part. And then there's not misusing one's sexual energy, or not engaging in sexual misconduct. That one is a kind of a big ball of wax, but we kind of know some obvious things here. And I haven't been 100% trained on all the details on that. So I'll just leave it kind of maybe more ambiguous and vague in that. But a lot of us know when we're misusing our sexual energy, right? When we're engaging in sexual misconduct. I mean, the mind can come along and concoct all kinds of things to rationalize our behavior around sexual energy and sexual misconduct. But at the end of the day, is it harming? That's the big one. And again, there's gradation. But the other one, intoxicants, a lot of this has to do with just alcohol, basically, liquor. And we're going to talk we went into details about, if it's evaporated in food. And I ask about kombucha, and, it's got to, the alcohol has to be there. It has to be, there's an intention to drink it. There has to be, it has to actually go in the body. And then, there was one other qualification, but some people put, other things up. There's exceptions for medicinal use, right? And talked about things like morphine and pain. So there is still some gray areas. But what I wanted to focus on is it being framed as the most important precept. And usually in Western circles, the teachers say, there's nothing wrong with intoxication in and of itself. It just leads you to break the other precepts, which are not for your good, not for the happiness and welfare and benefit of others, especially in the long term. So it seems like, but in the West, I wonder if this was the case, that it was the most important precept, because of all of those non-harming, honesty, not stealing, not using sexual misconduct, and intoxication. Intoxication is probably the most, or even drinking intoxicants or taking intoxicants just kind of casually, it's probably the most widely accepted thing in Western society, you know? And I really wonder about this, if it might be the most important in Western society right now because it's so normalized. And I wouldn't be a goody two shoe or something, but we all see the problems it can cause and how, some people can handle a drink or two or whatever. Um, but some people can't, and we know that people can obviously do lots of things they normally wouldn't do when they're sober. And then I wonder if some people will just say, well, that's an excuse for whatever behavior I have. If I just stay intoxicated a lot of times, then people will just say, oh, he's intoxicated. That's, that his behavior doesn't apply or whatever because, he was drunk, so he can get away with it or whatever. So I don't know. I think this is definitely um, worthy of further reflection about these things of you know and if you are just drinking one or two glasses, what's the big deal just to stop? I wonder if anybody's tried this as an experiment. I actually have stopped since 2013 because I got to the point where one beer I would get hungover for like a day. It was ridiculous. I used to be able to go out and drink a lot and wake up without any hangover. And after I started practice and meditation, the energy system just got so resensitized that it was just like, what's the point of this? And yeah, so I don't know. It's something to explore in one's practice. Definitely worth a second look to see how normalized it's become and how insignificant some people kind of find this. But also, it also has the other extreme of some really unhelpful things happening in society, right? Um, due to substances. Um, all right. Well, I think that's all I've got for now. I appreciate you all joining. Everybody's kind of quiet today, and that's okay. And yeah, here's sending good vibes to you all, and be well out there, and you know, engage in your truth-seeking journey skillfully. And yes, take a second look at substances and see how you feel, see how this affects your life and those around you and others. And yeah, put it to the test. Try it out. Try abstaining and see what the challenges and benefits are if you'd like. All right. Bye now.